Okay, we just went to the mail service and picked up the forms that we need to declare residency and change the truck from a New York titled truck to a Florida titled truck and get our driver's licenses. So we're gonna head to the clerk of courts to do something with residency, and then we're heading to the DMV. So wish us luck, and I will give you an update. Well, our visit to the DMV was not successful. Yeah, we were sent from the DMV to the Board of Elections to get voter registration cards, and then the lady there said no, she can't handwrite a voter registration card, that it has to be mailed. So we have some stuff to figure out, and then the whole car insurance thing was a bit of an odyssey. We called for a quote. That went fine, and then when we called back to activate that quote, it was a whole shebang. So we're gonna pull some more stuff together and maybe go on Wednesday. So I will keep you updated. Well, Kirk is working. I just went up to the office and asked if they would print our insurance ID card and our declarations page, and they said yes. So I emailed it to them. By the time I got back up there, it was already printed and she was waiting for me. We have seen so much hospitality in this last week. It's incredible. On Wednesday, we tried another trip to the DMV, but they were closed. The governor had given them Wednesday off, apparently at the last minute. So that's pretty cool for them. So we had a whole day in front of us and decided to drive up to Jacksonville and see some historic sites that were in the area, or that are in the area. We drove over kind of a sketchy bridge that was a little bit scary, but that's okay because we eventually made it to our destinations, which were the Timucuan Ecological Preserve and Fort Caroline National Memorial. The Ecologic Preserve was quite lovely. It's right along the ocean. Apparently, there is not a lot of oceanfront anymore, or coastal areas that haven't been touched by development. So that makes me really grateful that the folks in the past had the foresight to put aside areas like this so that people many generations later can still enjoy it and see it in its wild state, in its natural habitat, see the animals. It was stunningly beautiful. And then just a short, maybe half-mile walk down a sandy path, we arrived at the Fort Caroline. It's I almost said reenactment, but it's a simulation of what they think the fort would have looked like in its time. We are in Jacksonville. We're at the Fort Caroline National Memorial site. I got my book stamped and we checked the fort out. I'll be inserting some photos, and now we're walking on the nature trail back to the parking lot. And I have no idea what else is in store for today, but I'll bring you along with. This is us driving over the Intercoastal Waterway. We were on our way to Neptune Beach, where we had lunch at a place called North Beach Fish Camp. It was absolutely delicious, and here is a photo of crab cakes and beet salad. We're in Neptune Beach, and it is gorgeous. We just had lunch at a seafood place, North Beach Fish Camp, I think it was called. It was so good. And we're gonna head back to Stark in just a few minutes. But we were so close, we had to come see the beach. It's Thanksgiving, and the KOA had a massive potluck for all of the campers and residents. They roasted something like 5 turkeys and 3 hams, and the campers came through with so much food. It was incredible. My plate was full before I even got down to what we had brought in, but it was all the fixings of a traditional Thanksgiving, plus some things thrown in that are family recipes from people who aren't from the area. And if you put it all together, it just made for a really lovely meal. Everybody was so kind. So much food left. I'm shooting this after everyone had gone through the buffet already, and you can see how much is left. That's how much was brought in. And the KOA is still using that food. We went to breakfast on Saturday, and they had repurposed the ham, and they turned the mashed potatoes into potato pancakes. And then when we went to bingo on Saturday evening, they turned some turkey into turkey salad for sandwiches. So they're doing their best to make sure very little goes to waste, which I personally love. There's so much here, as you can see, so it's nice that not so much will go to waste. But it was an excellent afternoon. Like I said, we enjoyed ourselves very much. We came back full. Happy Thanksgiving. We just got back from the campground Thanksgiving potluck. The food was so good. There was so much of it. Everyone was so nice. It's nice to have something like this when you're away from your friends and family. So yeah, I'm definitely glad we went. I wish people had eaten more of the meatballs we brought, but there was so much food. So I know my plate was full by the time I made it to our meatballs, so maybe that's the case. But you know, it is what it is. Anyway, happy Thanksgiving. Kirk was off work on Friday, so we wanted to check out some more local sites. So we headed to Camp Landing, which is about 11 miles from us, and they have a indoor and outdoor museum of military equipment through several generations. The indoor exhibits were closed when we were there, so we only got the opportunity to visit the outside ones, but they were very well done. It was very respectful of all the different branches of the service. There are some folks buried there, so they're very respectful of it in terms of it being a memorial as well. And as you can see, it was a stunning day when we were there, just blue skies and sunshine, the perfect opportunity to visit a place like this. From Camp Landing, we drove up to St. Augustine. This is us crossing the Bridge of Lions on our way to get to the St. Augustine Lighthouse. St. Augustine was so busy. It was absolutely packed. And when we made it to the lighthouse, we had to park on like this dirt road slash side street pretty far away. But even if parking had been more readily available, our truck is so big that it often doesn't fit into just a normal spot that people leave when they're parking at these like national sites if it's not lined or anything like that. So, as I mentioned, St. Augustine was super duper packed, but when we got to the lighthouse itself, the volunteer who was counting people in and out of the lighthouse who were climbing to the top said it was their third most popular day of the year, the other two being Christmas Eve and the day after Christmas. So we saw the lighthouse keeper's cottage. We had a snack at the Tin Pickle, and then we climbed the 219 stairs to the top of the lighthouse, and the view was absolutely spectacular. As you can see, just 360 degrees of amazing. Then we headed about 11 miles down the road and we went to Fort Matanzas, and we didn't know that the fort had to be reached by water, so we could only get a photo of it from across the way. And then we headed to Crescent Beach, which was the beach with access pretty close to the fort. So we walked on the beach for a little bit and just enjoyed being on the ocean. And then we drove back to the KOA and just the most beautiful sunset. I was able to enjoy it. Kirk was trying to drive with the sun directly in his face, but I absolutely thought it had been a beautiful day all day, so it wasn't really a surprise that it was such a lovely evening. But I'll let you enjoy the rest of our drive home in the sunset.